Everybody makes me mad.
So one of my favorite lines ever, man, from a movie is Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. If you
I actually don't. I have not seen that one.
Anyways, there's a scene where they're talking about this whorehouse in Texas. That's the whole
Burt
point
Reynolds,
of it.
right?
Burt Reynolds,
Yeah.
Dolly Parton, Charles Durning, I believe. And at one point they say, hey, look, man, if somebody wants to go get their ass tickled with a feather somewhere downtown, let them do it. But it's not really my deal. You know what I'm saying? So that's my whole philosophy on life. If you're not directly affecting me overall, and granted, let me not just say that that's a generalized statement. Like if I see wrongdoing and it's my right or my responsibility rather to step in and say something, I'm going to. You know what I'm talking about for obvious reasons, right?
Yeah.
Violence, anything like that, breaking up a fight, abuse, absolutely. But, at the end of the day, it's like, go make your difference, doing what you believe in. I'm going to do my thing, doing the same, and let's just have a mutual respect for one another, right? While we do it. Mm-hmm. I don't have to change your view. Right. I have a hard enough time changing my own perception to keep in a good headspace. So I don't need to worry about trying to change somebody else's.
Right.
That's fair.
So
and it's not going to change anyway.
No.
The ones who cause the biggest stink are the ones who want to actively change your like people who it's either the candidate I want or nobody. Like fuck you. Like you know what I mean? Like vote for whoever gets the ugh. I don't know what I'm trying to say because I'm irritated and I can't think of
words.
how to but I agree with you is the point of what I was like.
There's that quote, a person's mind that's been forced to change is still of the same opinion or something like that.
Yeah.
I totally fucked that up, but
but that makes sense.
A mind forced. No, I'm gonna leave
well,
it
which
alone.
is why
I know what you're saying though.
Yeah.
It's like getting back to what you were saying about you could tell people who need to be in recovery the tools that you used and that this is going to work, but they have to want to do it.
Yeah.
Or be ready to do it in order for it to work.
Yeah.
So, you can scream at somebody till they're blue in the face, but if you force somebody to go into rehab, chances are they'll be back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
because it wasn't their idea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that goes for anything. It's not just limited to drug abuse, substance abuse. I mean, everybody's on their own timeline. I'm guilty of, pushing people too hard. It's just kind of my, how I am. I get in kind of that, get in that mode because I see what's going on, and I do it from a place where I want somebody to actually, be better. I see,
you're not reaching your potential. If I push you,
they're gonna tell me to fuck off. But it's like this for me, man. It's when I talk to anybody and you look them in the eyes and you see the person they really are in there, And people did this to me before I got sober, right? And they know that I'm a good person, and they want me to change desperately, but I'm never gonna change until I'm ready. Yeah. And that's just how it goes, So, anyways, but yeah.
Especially I hate being told what to do.
Yeah, nobody likes it.
I hate, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, but even if I'm about to start doing something, and then somebody's like, "Hey, could you do this thing that I'm about to do?" I immediately am like, "I'll get to it later."
Yeah. That's so funny. Earlier, when you were talking about getting a sponsor, right after getting out of treatment, I was thinking about when I was in drug court. Drug court had this requirement to have a sponsor in the first 30 days of entering into drug court.
Yeah.
And I waited until day 31 as a fuck you.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell them about it. It was like an internal fuck you. I didn't need it. I would have gotten in trouble had they known, but it was how dumb is that? It's a real thing.
It is. It's absolutely a real thing.
I was going to say, and by the way, drug court is no joke. And I got much respect. I told you that when we first met for going through that process. And one of my best friends, and I mean, I have a small circle, man. He went through that process, and he's a good dude. And I've worked with a lot of guys through the years that have gone through that process. So much respect to you for going through it, because it is not easy, dude.
Yeah, no, it definitely was not easy.
Yeah.
It's funny. I did a panel at the treatment center this last weekend, and something that I always tell people as far as advice to people who are in and who are just getting out of drug court is, don't let this be the hardest thing you ever do.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, this might seem really hard right now, but I promise you that if you can complete something that's harder later on down the road, you're just going to get that euphoria that you're feeling when you're done with drug court times however many times harder that next thing is.
Yeah.
And, like, that's progress, like the being perpetually forced outside of your comfort zone, and that's where the magic is happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I get that same thing from running, you know? I mean, it's like what I can actually do and accomplish. My mind is basically sitting there saying, my body's failing. You can't do it. You just need to stop. You need to give up. What are you even doing out here? You're not a runner. Come on, give me a break. You should be at home. You should be doing this. And then once I get past that point, then I can go for miles and miles and miles. And then I start to believe, that anything's possible. Right.
You get what they refer to as the runner's high?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, one thing I did after that surgery was 6 months to the day I ran Zeitgeist, which is a half marathon that runs around the Dump, Hidden Springs kind of area, right?
Yeah.
And I'd never ran a race before, and everybody was like, I don't really think you know what you're getting yourself into, blah, 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 blah. And,
what's that, 2.5K? Is that what that is?
So it's 13.1 miles. So,
okay.
Yeah, so it's more than that. But I did really well, man. I did really well on that deal. And it was a big deal to me. I had fire because I did not want to go back to that place.
Yeah.
But the funny part about it is that whether it's going through the sobriety process in the beginning or even that surgery, that hell, I forget it so quick.
Right.
Which is, why would you ever forget that?
Yeah.
And I feel like we all do it, when, being proactive and making changes in my life to better myself, no, I'm going to wait.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait until I'm miserable.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to change.
I'm like that way more than I care to admit.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was telling Brittany, our guest last week, about, like, I brought up in the Alcoholics Anonymous book is the statement that we cannot bring to the forefront of our minds with sufficient force the pain and suffering from even a week or a month ago.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I hate how much that resonates with me, because what I'm trying to curb is needing pain to be the reminder to do the shit that I need to do.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to reframe my perspective on that in particular, because pain from like my lacking in my spiritual life, my mental life, my physical life, like whenever I'm not working out as hard as I can at the gym, when I'm eating shitty foods, then a lot of it's a physical manifestation that deals mostly in my head. I don't think anybody else is going to be able to perceive it except for myself. But whenever I start to get to perceiving the negativity, that it's at that point when I can't do this anymore, I have to do something different.
Yeah.
What I really want to do is get to that place where it doesn't have to get there before I continue doing the things that I need to do. It's interesting. It's I was listening to a YouTube video today. Alan Watts, he's talking about basically like nirvana and Satori and like higher states of consciousness of Buddha, like the Buddha. And he said something to the effect of like people that think they know it don't know it, and then the people that don't think they know it know it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know if I don't think I've ever actually known it until like that exact moment I feel it, and then it's gone.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh fuck, I'm just constantly trying to go after whatever that is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I'm with you on that though, man. I'm like, I had a conversation with a friend last night that was going through a rough time, and he was just like, everything in my life is shit right now. And when I was in the program, I used to always tell people, I'd be like, look, if it was sunny and 70 every day, it would just be. So if it never rained or snowed, we wouldn't appreciate sunny days, you know?
Yeah.
So for me, I got to have contrast, and unfortunately, my contrast has to be like the worst shit on the face of the earth before I can get my ass in gear. You know, I do it, and I'm in a much better place than I've ever been. You know, it all works out. I think one thing that I struggle with, and I got to remind myself, is that everything in life works out the way it's supposed to. And as shitty as things are, like the unexplainable and all these different things, you know, for me, you know, if I look at it from an angle of, well, this is the way it's supposed to be, you know, so I forgive, I accept, and I move on, you know, and I learn, right?
Yeah.
And I try to learn about myself through that process,
Right.
you know, instead of pointing the finger, right?
Introducing yourself to parts of you that you didn't know existed yet.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like I said at the beginning, you know, 20 years of living a life a certain way.
Yeah.
8-9 years later, there's still pieces that are coming up that I had no idea existed. I mean, the mountain piece, let me just say, the mountain piece happened a few years ago. That's where I'm supposed to be. I finally figured that out. And that was year 5 and 6 of sobriety. You know, I mean, it's crazy, but it is a beautiful thing. What I can say, just to kind of sum up the Elevate Idaho, is it's not about T-shirts. It's not about hats or beanies. You know, when I made my first batch of T-shirts, I did way too many, right? I spent I forget what I spent, something like $3,000 on a bunch of shirts. And even the guys that printed them were like, dude, that's a lot of shirts. And I go, well, I'll either never have to wash a shirt again, and I'll just wear them until I burn through them all, or I'll sell them. And but it's about finding that peace, and whatever that is, and wherever people can find it. And you know what it's done for me. The least I can do is try and give back and conserve what is here in this state for other people, generations to come, to experience it.
Hell yeah.
And that's it. So
that's great.
You know,
somebody drop a mic.
Speaking of finding that piece, where can people find Elevate Idaho?
Yeah, so I do it through Instagram. So that's Elevate Idaho, easy to find. And then our website is elevatemystate.com.
Okay.
And that's kind of the hashtag that we use, right? Or I use, and that ties into the quote, right? Because, you know, for me, it's all about perspective. It really is for everybody, right? You know, it's how I look at stuff, how I'm gonna, you know, choose to perceive things in my life. You know, and I just had this conversation last week with a good friend that I had taken on a mountain trip. And they said to me, you know, I think about that trip, right? And basically the gist of that was that, you know, at that time, it's just so easy, right? You get up there and everything else is so insignificant,
right? Because
nothing else matters. And I'm going to butcher this. I don't even know. I've tried to look for it, who this quote is, and so I've kind of made my own quote out of it. Is I've never met a man or woman who's went to the top of the mountain and came back down still acting like an asshole.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, elevatemystate.com. We're always making new stuff. I am in stores, McHugh's in Boise.
It's right over there on State Street, right?
Yeah, it's actually
Jefferson and
9th and Jefferson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
and then
State Street adjacent.
Yeah,
I was close.
Razzle Dazzle in McCall, Lynn Lawless. She was one of my very first retail customers. So if you're in McCall, stop in and say hi there.
Hell yeah.
And then also Matt at River One in Stanley. You can find my stuff there.
Nice.
And then in Pocatello, Idaho Adventure Sports.
Okay.
Yeah, Greg and Joe over there. And they're all fantastic people that, you know, were on board and wanted to support, you know.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
I would suggest that you go down to the River Sports store off of Whitewater.
Yeah.
Talk with them, see if maybe you could get some stuff in there.
So part of the deal, what I do, so that way, as far as retail goes, is I give them exclusivity
Oh, right.
So if you put my stuff in your store, then I'm
no
the
one
only
else is getting that.
Yeah,